SCP-001. You would expect this SCP to be like most other entries in the Foundation, be it anomalous entity, object, phenomenon, or concept. SCP-001 is much different, instead being made up of over 30 different proposals, each one being a different thing. The proposal I'm going to be covering today is known as Lot's Proposal. It's named When Day Breaks. The article is quite lengthy, being comprised of mostly dialogue, so I'm going to be focused on the informal section. SCP-001 is classified as Apollyon, a classification usually given to world-ending events or entities within the SCP universe. Special Containment Procedures. Due to its nature, SCP-001 cannot be contained. Survivors of the SCP-001 event stationed within secure facilities are to remain in contact with one another. Personnel are encouraged to attempt to reach Site-19 by any means at their disposal. Personnel with knowledge as to the whereabouts of the O5 Council are to relay this information to the Administrator. Survivors attempting to travel outdoors must fully cover their bodies in protective clothing, preferably several layers. Travel by foot should be limited as much as possible. Cities and man-made structures in general provide the greatest protection. Formerly wooded areas should be circumvented. Travel by air is preferable above all other methods. Personnel exposed to SCP-001 are to be considered lost. Compromised personnel are to be abandoned. Euthanization is not to be attempted. Collective instances of SCP-001-A that are of formidable size are to be avoided at all costs. Conductive electrical weapons have proven partially effective at immobilized instances and may be used for self-defense. Incendiary weapons work as well. Cryonic munitions are the most effective thus far. Testing has revealed that SCP-001-A is relatively safe to consume. This is only to be considered as a last resort in the absence of other options, as SCP-001-A may reconstitute within the digestive system. Only small portions should be consumed at a time to prevent blockage. Personnel stationed at Site-19 are to pursue research concerning off-world colonization. Shuttles must be constructed as to not allow light to penetrate the interior. SCP-001 is a designation given to the Sun after an event at an undisclosed date resulting in at least 6.8 billion casualties within the first 24 hours. This event has been classified as an SK-class Omega solar singularity scenario. The SCP-001 effect does not seem to result from exposure to ultraviolet rays, but rather light in the visual spectrum, from 390 to 700 nanometers. The effect is similarly present in moonlight. Upon contact with visual light produced by the sun, living organisms liquefy at the point of contact, with the effect spreading until the entire organism is converted. Visually, this is reminiscent of melting wax. The time this takes is largely dependent on the exposure and size of the organism. Level of exposure and size of the organism, Despite this restructuring, at no point do the living organisms perish. Upon completion, these organisms, now designated as SCP-001-A, take on a gelatinous consistency. Motile organisms will attempt to orient themselves in a fashion reminiscent of the previous form, to varying degrees of success. Flora typically remain inert, yet are still capable of photosynthesis, and still produce oxygen. Organisms capable of flight lose their ability to do so. Fauna remain sentient, and display behavior that parallels their non-anomalous counterparts when not absorbed into a collective instance. Humans retain a modicum of sapience and memory. Biological anomalies exposed to SCP-001 are affected in the same manner. it seems that exposure nullifies any previously expressed anomalous characteristics. Due to their composition, instances of SCP-001-A that make contact with one another may combine and blend at the molecular level. This does not seem to cause any pain or distress to the instances, though the resulting bolt can inhibit movement. Since the SCP-001 event, most instances have congregated into such collectives, which seem to possess no maximum volume. The resulting biomass is amorphous and chaotic. The component organisms will shift between a full to semi-liquid state. Limbs and bodies will periodically form within the mass for a short duration, before deteriorating and being subsumed by another life form. Collective instances will locomote by using their appendages in tandem to carry their mass. Larger instances will form a pseudopod to constitute and their constituent life forms and drag themselves about in a manner similar to an amoeba. The following is a message given by the Foundation Administrator to any survivors of the initial SCP-001 event. To those of you with families, or God forbid, children, I'm deeply, deeply sorry. You must push on. Do not let their deaths be in vain. We do still have time. Humanity may still have a future. Come to Site-19. We need all the hands we can get. Learn to embrace the darkness. Fear the light. When Day Breaks has always been one of my personal favorite entries in the entire Foundation, as well as one that has always left me with a sense of dread. Not because it involves something that is too insane or out of the ordinary, like an eldritch demon or a being who can change reality at will, but our very own sun, a thing that is more often than not considered beneficial towards life. But in the context of When Day Breaks is inescapably horrific, highlighting that the end of life as we know it is truly at the hands of the sun.